I'm in Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
Hey, oops, I coughed right up. Sorry about that. Welcome, everybody. Mike Alexander and Jonathan Wilson to the umpteenth edition here of Radio Free Los Angeles, right here on Radio 870 The Answer, coming to you from beautiful Glendale, California. How are you tonight, Jonathan?
Doing good. This is episode 27. Can you believe
really?
that? Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we're rocking and rolling, and we we really want this not only to be citizen-supported and sponsored talk radio, or action radio, as I prefer to call it. We really want you to participate in the program. This is a much better program when our fellow citizens participate here, because in the end, that's what it's all about. For those of you who might be tuning in for the first time, we are the California Taxpayers Union, and our goal here is to do things. I've often said there's three kinds of tanks. There's the think tank. We all know what those are. There's some great institutions out there, the Heritage Club, the Claremont Institute, which I'm a member of, or sponsor, contributor to, whatever you want to call it. All these wonderful places and organizations. But they think and they talk. Then there's the talk tank. That's all other talk radio. And there, the idea is to take ideas and talk about them, which is really, really important. It truly is. We're all of us big fans of other people in the talk radio business. We listen to them all the time. Then there is the third kind of tank. That one was the talk tank. Third kind of tank is the do tank. And that should include all of us. And that's what this program is all about. It's about moving from the thinking about problems, move from talking about problems to doing things about problems. And it's our failure thus far to do things in sufficient quantity with the right kind of money, the right kind of organization, the right kind of strategy. It is the lack of that that has gotten us into our situation. And we should be really very reassured and confident about our future, because we got into most of our problems here, not because of what they did, that is mostly public employee unions and the far left whack jobs. We didn't get into trouble so much because of what they did, but because of what we didn't. And we're going to talk more about that here tonight. But we've done a lot of great things. We have this. Jonathan, you also reminded me earlier tonight when we were preparing for the show to talk about our website. Why don't you do so much work on that. Why don't you talk to them about it?
Yeah, our website is looking good now, Mike. Yeah, we've got Radio Free LA linked there, and then also the Taxpayer Gazette.
Right.
So that's going to be a fully functioning blog for our members, and obviously we're going to have you do pieces on there, hopefully, every week. So
sure.
Yeah, and you can contribute. I've set up a great subscription plan. So if you want to join the union, you can go to CaliforniaTaxpayersUnion.org,
right,
and click the join button and choose your level.
And you know, if you have an article out there, you know what we talk about here. All of you are in cities out there. And this is where the action is, for reasons we've talked about many times. But if you're in a city where they've got a big pension debt bomb going, and they all do, if they're failing to face up to their fiscal problems, you should be writing an article about what's going on in your city. Send it in to us. If you have an observation about a financial issue or a critical issue of public policy, be sure to send it in. We'd love to hear all about it. It's a lot of fun for us. If you're hearing an echo in the background, that's just a little bit temporary.
That was my computer. Sorry.
Blame it on KRLA, man.
That was all me.
They got that same goofy guy in the control room again. How are you, Kevin? It's good to have you back, my friend. All right. We got a great crew here. So, if you have a good good article or argument that you think that we ought to know about, please, by all means, send it in. Now, before we get too deep into the show, we have on line one a young woman named, at least I'm assuming she's young. You got to be young to be in politics these days. Jessica Martinez, and she'd like to talk to us about her candidacy. Jessica, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, I said you were young. Now, everyone was young, right?
Well, yeah, in our own opinion, we are.
Okay, good. I almost blew it there. All right, so I've recovered. Jessica, I understand that you're a candidate for office in the 57th Assembly District. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Where is the 57th?
Well, that encompasses Avocado Heights, East La Mirada, Hacienda Heights, Industry, La Habra Heights, Whittier, Norwalk, South El Monte, South San Jose Hills, South Santa Fe Springs, La Puente. So it's a pretty large district.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly where it is. Jessica, are you a member of a particular party?
Yes, I am a Republican.
Mm-hmm. And I take it that you're conservative, or you wouldn't be calling this show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, at any rate,
yes,
you're going to be the first participant in a new feature that I'm trying to launch here for candidates and public figures like some of these city mismanagers. So I'm going to call this new feature the Dunk Tank. So, so welcome to the Dunk Tank. You're the first one. Are you ready to play?
Maybe Kevin can find that sound effect.
So.
Yeah, the one we're going in the water, right? Hey, we're playing with you. Jessica, tell us a little bit about your candidacy. I think we all know the major issues in the state: high taxes, unending regulation. We're a sanctuary state. We have a gas tax that's out of control. We have education that is, well, in some states they like to call their schools second to none. Our schools are worse than all others. So tell us, please, about your candidacy and your focus.
Well, my focus is to protect our families, our freedom, and our property and our paychecks. Those are my four focuses. But I truly believe that our California Assembly and our governor, they are out of control, and they have no concern whatsoever for the average citizen out there who is working and striving to support their families. And they just continue to tax. And we were at a meeting at the Santa Fe Springs Chamber of Commerce just recently, and the incumbent Ian Calderon was talking about creative financing to help pay for his programs.
Now, that was the incumbent moron of the assembly. Is that correct?
Well, I can't call him.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. It's my show. I get to do that. Blame it on me. No problem. Now, who is this guy or gal?
His name is Ian Calderon.
Oh, him.
Yes.
Oh.
He's the last straw for California.
Yeah. Was he out of rehab?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. I think he got busted for drunk a couple of times, or driving around his secretary with intentions of being caught in flagrante delicto.
Oh.
Right?
I hadn't even known about that. That's news to me.
Right. Okay.
Right.
But anyway, we'll blame it. We'll accuse him of it anyway. All right. So no, he's truly brain dead. So he says he's going to do some creative financing, like what?
Well, that's the question that was asked, And he was asked whether or not what did that mean? Did that mean raising taxes? And he was not very happy about that question.
Oh no, no.
But yeah, I won't say over the air what his colorful language was. But you know, there was some colorful language used. But yeah, he has no regret whatsoever about voting yes on the gas tax increase.
Right.
In fact, he said he would sleep well at night knowing that he made the right decision.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he did. He made the right decision for himself and his family and his friends. Yeah, those people are running up a business up there. And it's a fine business. It's a wonderful business. It just has nothing to do with your business or my business. They need more money. They have the guns, so they take it from us. So I assume that you are with us in saying yes on Proposition 6, which would repeal the gas tax and vehicle registration increase.
Absolutely. In fact,
good answer.
In fact, I was endorsed by Carl DeMaio as well for my campaign. Yeah, so that actually it's kind of funny because when I started signing people up to get my name on the ballot, I thought to myself, you know what I'll do is I'll go to the DMV. I'm going to talk to voters out at the DMV because we have this huge line and it's a captive audience.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Right, but they chased me off after a couple of weeks. But most people there standing in the line really were upset with the gas tax. So I think that's a great issue for Republicans this election cycle.
Yes,
because people are really tired of the higher taxes. I mean, I was looking at some of the statistics and. We have the highest.
Hey, Jessica. First of all, may I call you Jessica?
Please do.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I want you to hold on. We got a break coming up. There's a lot more questions I want to ask you. This is Mike Alexander and Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Carl DeMaio event.
All right. Mike Alexander back with you here, Radio Free Los Angeles. And we have with us here tonight Ms. Jessica Martinez, who is the Republican candidate for Assemblyman in the 57th Assembly District. Are you back with us, Jessica?
I am.
There you are. Okay. By the way, are you a native of that area? Did you grow up in that area or elsewhere?
Well, I grew up in Los Angeles County in Monterey Park, and but I have never moved out of the LA County area. I've been a lifetime resident.
I was just curious because I grew up in the southeast area myself, so I know all the areas you're talking about there. Jessica, the top two problems that I think that we have in the state, of which high taxes are a symptom rather than a cause. The two top problems are an out-of-control pension system, and then number two, really terrible quality public schools. And our response in the California Taxpayers Union has been quite simple. We need to get rid of the existing defined benefit system, that is one that guarantees public employees a permanent fixed pension expressed as a percentage of their earnings, and replace it with a 401k type plan similar to the ones that all the rest of us are on. And our second proposal in response to the crisis in education, our abysmal public schools, is a form of school choice, which would involve the creation of educational savings accounts, about $10,000 or $11,000 per year per child, whatever the pro rata share is of the California education budget. Let them spend it at a school of their choice, including a parochial school that is an accredited school, and then save up anything that they have. They can use it towards college. Those are two key proposals here. What is your reaction to those proposals? Or if you have different solutions, maybe you could let us know what they are.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have been talking to some financial planners, and I'm asking them to come up with a proposal as far as helping to solve the pension problem. And I'm not quite sure yet as far as what the actual answer to that question is. But I do know that it's a huge problem.
Yes,
and
it is.
It needs to get solved right away before we end up in bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the educational school system goes, I am completely behind school choice.
Good.
The reason for that is parochial schools, they give a high level of educational quality to their students. And so often, as in my case, my parents worked very hard, and they sent me to a parochial school.
Yes.
At the same time, they were supporting the public school system, yeah. And it's great. We should have a system of education that everyone can go to for free, and I think that that's great. But I don't think that you should have to pay twice.
Right.
I don't think it's fair.
That's right. And actually, you pay three times. Because you pay when not only the cost of putting another kid in school, but you pay again. You pay for your child, you pay for the other child, and then we all pay again when that child in the public school system doesn't get the tools that he or she needs to participate in our society. That is something that a mistake and a problem we just keep paying and paying and paying for. Jessica, if people want to support your candidacy or have questions for you, where should they go?
Well, they can go to my website, which is martinezforassembly.com, www.martinezforassembly.com, and there is a link there. They can go ahead and donate to my campaign, which I must emphasize that this coming Friday, the 10th, is the deadline for me to submit my ballot statement. And that's the only way that I can actually get my message out to the voter, to all voters, because I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in my war chest like Mr. Calderon does.
Yeah, Calderon's got it all. Well, please go to our website, support this hardworking new candidate out there. She has a message worth hearing. She survived the dunk tank on Radio Free Los Angeles here, and now, but you just barely cheated the devil on that. Whoa,
that's a good sound effect. That was just a rehearsal.
That's a rehearsal. But you just you got through by the skin of your teeth. If you really want information on this pension thing, feel free to be in contact with us. What is it? HQ
at CaliforniaTaxpayersUnion.org.
That's us. I'll walk you through it so that you have some good answers. Good luck to you out there, Jessica. We enjoyed having you on, and don't be a stranger. Call back in.
I will. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jonathan. Good night.
Thank you.
Take care. Good night. On line 2, we have Mike from Los Angeles. I think you said, Bank of LA is a bad idea? Which scheme is that, Mike? It sounds like they got a new one that I haven't heard about.
Well, it's a good idea if you support illegal immigration and you want another boondoggle to the tune of $2 billion taxpayer dollars to open up a bank that supports marijuana processing and illegal aliens. $2 billion, and this is supported by the Los Angeles City Council, the future governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and it's going to be shoved down the taxpayers' throats. This is Herb Wesson, all council people, socialists, progressives want this, and it's just going to be a waste of taxpayer dollars to allow illegal aliens, like the matricular consular card given out by the church saying that these people are legal residents. That's going to be the low standard of residency that people are going to have to show to become to be signed up at the bank. And
okay, here, hey, Mike, hang on. Let's. I think I know what you're talking about, but it's not clear for our listeners. If I understand you correctly, there is a proposal before the Los Angeles City Council to form a bank, and that the city would own and operate the bank. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the reason for forming this bank is centered around, I assume, the inability of these marijuana sellers, that is the dispensaries, whatever they're calling themselves, these marijuana stores, their inability to have access to the federal and state banking system. Is that correct?
In part, yes. They cannot process credit cards.
Right. But at the same time, this apparently is going to be an all-purpose kind of boondoggle. It'll permit the bank, I guess, to engage in other forms of lending or extension of credit, creating and maintaining deposits, that kind of thing.
Right. Run by the city of Los Angeles.
There you go. Well, we know how well they've handled their pension problems. They're upside down. And Mike, Mike, everything that you say about it, even if these people were actually good at this, at anything, it would be a bad idea because these banks have no business competing with the feds, competing with other private enterprise. No matter what, everybody should be competing and playing by the same rules. We should never have a situation where you're competing against your government for banking business or credit business or anything else. And, of course, to go off and do it for the benefit of dope sellers is really awful. I'm glad you brought this to our attention, Mike. We'll be looking into it. And getting and we keep the word out there. Mike, is this the first time you called into our show?
I've been listening and calling for several months.
I thought, it's great. I saw Mike of L.A. Go ahead.
Every time you're on.
Hey, perfect. Well, hey, you're a welcome caller, and you always make a great addition. That's why I thought I recognized it here. Thanks, Mike, and we'll talk to you again soon. On line 3, we have our old friend, Dean Gross. How are you tonight, Dean?
Very good, Mike. How are you and Jonathan?
All right. Hey,
we're doing good. Dean, thanks for calling in.
What's on your mind tonight, Dean?
I attended a presentation this afternoon for Congressman Rohrabacher, but the main speaker was Carl DeMaio with the Proposition 6, the repeal of gas taxes, vote yes on Proposition 6. He pointed out some very interesting things that I don't think people really understand. The governor's got about $70 million that he's going to be fighting this and throwing out a lot of lies.
That's correct.
One of the things, the gas went up 12 cents. That's the start. The gas tax increase is forever. It has cost of living increases on an annual basis.
Really,
a lot of that doesn't really come out when people wonder. They think, oh, it's just 12 cents. Well, reality-wise, is 12 cents a gallon for a family of 4 works out to $799.80. I think.
Hey, Dean.
Yes,
if you can hear that music, that means that we're up on the break. But I want you to hang on. Can you stay in through the break at the bottom of the hour?
Sure, sir.
Hey, sure. Hang on, because we've got a lot to talk about on the gas tax. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. Back with you after the half-hour break. All right, back with you here. Yes, that's me. And that rapid beeping at the beginning of the broadcast. That's SOS, it's Morse code. That's a trigger warning for all you liberals. So grab your therapy dogs and your marshmallows and get ready, because
get your safe space.
Get your safe space. I'll tell you, man, it's good. You can cry if you want to. It's okay. All right. But in any event, talk about crying. Taxpayers are crying. We have Dean Gross from the South Bay, who was on with us before I called it the half-hour break. I meant the break at the half hour. I don't know. I either lost half of my audience or I gained when they figured out I wasn't going to be talking anymore. But in any event, Dean, would you continue your explanation of the current gas tax increase and registration increase, how it works, and what exactly it is that we're trying to get rid of by saying yes on Proposition 6?
Well, thanks very much, guys. I was at a presentation this afternoon with Carl DeMaio, who's the one from San Diego that got this on to the ballot, got the signatures, and actually got it placed on the ballot.
Fantastic job.
He explained how the governor is putting a lot of money behind, putting out a lot of lies about this tax. One of the things that they're saying is, gee, it only costs us 12 cents a gallon, and that's not much, and it's going to fix all of our roads and so on. In reality, the 12 cents a month works out to $799.80 a year. Interestingly,
for a family of four.
For a family of four. Yeah, the studies show that a family of four spends about $799.80 for Christmas. So what our Democratic friends are doing is essentially raising taxes that will take Christmas away.
Oh, I like that. That's good, yeah. Good work.
The Grinch.
There's the Grinch. It steals Christmas, Easter, Hanukkah. You name it, they'll take it. Your birthday?
Get it any way they can.
That's right.
Sacramento doesn't have a revenue problem. Sacramento has a spending problem.
That's correct.
There's sufficient money up there to do what needs to be done. There's money up there to fix our roads right now without the tax increase, without the additional increases on licensing fees. So when we have to license our vehicles, we're the highest in the nation when it comes to those activities, and this has got to be stopped. So,
yes,
when you go to the polls in November and you look at the propositions, Proposition 6 is a definite yes. Repeal the gas tax.
That's right. That's the easiest call for anybody. And if you're listening to these people, don't. Everything that they write, everything that they say, everything that they do is nothing but a fraud, a hustle, and a con. All of them. Every last damn one of them. We have more than enough money to do basic things that are called for in our Constitution, both nationally and locally. Look, they won't even protect people. Now, by the way, you talk about all the money that we're cranking in here to government, you would think that you could get police protection. What's interesting, you will all remember, I'm sure, back during the 2016 election, there was a Trump rally in San Jose, and there were a number of Trump supporters who were chased down by thugs outside of the arena, wherever it was, in San Jose. They came under attack, and the San Jose police failed to go to their aid. Do you remember that? Okay.
Absolutely.
It happened. And the victims of that were injured seriously. They filed suit, lost, no surprise, at the trial court level, and it went up to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and quite interestingly, they sent it back. It was a civil rights suit, and they've been denied equal protection of the laws. And the San Jose police had responded to the media and to others and in court saying that they were acting on orders of the mayor's office or whoever was running the this operation. Now, you'd think, all right, that's an isolated incident. You would be wrong. Fast forward up to Oregon, I forget which city, it's Portland, Oregon, here over the weekend, and they had a bunch of ICE officers who had come under attack, and with a mob outside, and Antifa people in black mufti, people in every sort of strange costume and under influence of all kinds of substances, defecating all over the place, attacking people, and the Portland Police Bureau, PPB, whatever they call it, told the police to stand down and not to supply any kind of help to the ICE officers that are there. This is unprecedented. Now, it's one thing to refuse to assist in the arrest of an illegal alien. That's bad enough under our Constitution. That's Confederate enough. But to deny police protection when somebody is physically under attack is unforgivable. But that is, your modern city. There's nothing small about the cities. That's what your money is doing. And all government is out of control at every level. And anything that we can do to take our money back is what we ought to do. These people can't be trusted with anything. You can't trust them with your money. You can't trust them with your kids. You can't trust them with the Constitution. You can't trust them with a gun. That is, you can't trust them to use it when they have to. It's absolutely outrageous. And some of those ICE officers, if you want to know what happened, there were federal police. There's always in every area, there's a number of people, officers, who provide security and other police services on federal facilities. They were rounded up and went in to rescue these guys. And when they did, they came under attack. And there was one guy there in particular, apparently he was a black officer who was part of the federal police force, and they called him all kinds of names, including a race traitor, and that was the nicest thing they called him. They made adverse racial comments about him. Everything was just absolutely awful. That's what cities are doing. So we can't trust these people with our money. They're constantly lying, and up at the state level here in California, it's really no better. And we have a sanctuary state now, and when we get a chance to take this money back, that's what we ought to do. So I want to thank you, Dean, for calling in and being our guest tonight and bring us up to date.
Yeah, by the way, that gives us a good opportunity to announce that we're going to be co-sponsoring one of those Yes on 6 events in Covina.
Covina, that's correct.
August 23rd. So we'll have more details, but we really want to get a lot of folks out there so we can get organized and repeal this gas tax.
And we are also going to be a depot for signs and other literature. It will be a distribution point. Those signs are coming out soon. If you want to reserve a sign so that you come by and pick one, what should they do, Jonathan?
Well, they can call us at the office. We're there 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. The number to our office, if you want a repeal the gas tax yard sign or stickers or literature, give us a call at 626-792-1772, or you can email us at hq@californiataxpayersunion.org.
Perfect. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of things. There'll be some flyers. There will be the regular lawn signs, which are dynamite, and some little stickers that you can post in strategic places with the permission of the property owner, of course. Yet one must be very particular about that.
And we're also planning a big rally in late September. Yeah, in the lead up to the election.
And we'll be doing that probably up here in Pasadena. Is that correct?
Correct,
Jonathan?
yes. Hopefully we can fill the Rose Bowl. What do you think?
You rent it, I'll fill it.
Okay.
That's one lease I think I won't sign. But the Rose Bowl is a great venue. But you could fill the Rose Bowl with just a small number of people actually paying this tax and can't afford it. It's really outrageous. Now, in the city, speaking of taxes here, our local city, the city of Pasadena, yes, the Crown City, the home of the Rose Bowl and the Rose Parade, they actually made the news this past week in the Wall Street Journal. And, I should have been aware of this, but I wasn't. You can't keep ahead of these people. But apparently the city of Pasadena availed itself of an exception within the California Constitution that otherwise requires that taxes be submitted to the electorate for approval. So, here. We got some, you guys, are you playing the music? You trying to bump me off here? All right. Kevin's giving me the hook here. We'll come back and finish the story. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. If you want to give us some love, where do you go?
Go to CaliforniaTaxpayersUnion.org. And the number here, if you want to talk to us tonight, is 866-870-5752.
All right, back with you here. We're having a good show here tonight. We sure enjoy hearing from all of you out there. We'll have some more callers coming up in a minute. I wanted to finish the story I was telling you about city of Pasadena. So they availed themselves of an exception under the Constitution, which permits the city or other government entity to act unanimously to raise a tax if there's an emergency. So why did the city of Pasadena make the news, make the Wall Street Journal? Well, because they're a AAA rated city. Now, I don't think they ought to be, but they are a AAA rated credit rating, and they declared a fiscal emergency. So that's that's internally contradictory. Well, the emergency was they were jonesing for more money. And what it was all about was an emergency tax to impose a tax on the sale of marijuana in the city of Pasadena, and that's going to generate them another $2 million. So now you see what's going on with these guys, and now all the cities and all the governments and the state and everybody else is promoting this drug selling scheme. It's an opportunity for them to get more revenue out of it, to fill that big pension hole that they have to fill. And believe me, everything is a pension is a pension hole here. It is absolutely outrageous, and they should be each and every one of the councilmen should be fired the next time you have a chance to vote against them, particularly in light of their failure to manage their budget. Now, on top of that, of course, they followed it up with a resolution asking for the citizens of Pasadena to make recommendations to them and regarding the imposition of a 0.75% increase in the sales tax. So now, every time that if you happen to be somebody who smokes marijuana, you're paying more taxes. If you're out there buying a car, buying anything, even gasoline, so that sales tax applies to gasoline sold within the city of Pasadena. So they're going to clip you another 25 or 50 cents a fill up. I don't know what it comes to. I'll let somebody out there get out their Obama phone, do the calculations. But it's tax. It never stops. And by the way, I don't know if you saw this, Mike, but one of our members, Kathy Bentz, wrote a letter into the Pasadena Star News today. Love Kathy. What did Kathy have to say? And she is our star student. You got to listen to this. Let me read it. Yes, sir. Okay. Every city is searching for squirrely ways to raise taxes, always repackaging them as essential to maintaining existing services and quality of life. The real goal, however, is to backfill excessive salaries and unsustainable pensions for public employees. But it gets worse.
These fiscal band-aids are merely sufficient to address budgetary shortfalls based on artificially rosy return rates on pension fund investments. CalPERS, the state's retirement system entity, assumes it will achieve a 7.5% return every year for 30 years, though a figure roughly half that is more realistic. A more accurate accounting yields municipal unfunded liabilities in the tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. Hold on to your wallets. Kathy Bentz, South Pasadena.
Yeah, God bless you, Kathy. You're right. And what her comments apply to every city. Now, what was Kathy talking about? She was talking about the fact that the city of Pasadena has unfunded pension liabilities. In other words, they have failed to set aside anywhere from $768 million up to about $3.0 billion. It's somewhere in between, depending upon which investment assumption you use. Now, nobody believes that number is going to be 7 or 7.5%. In fact, nationally, there's a lot of talk about among the big five states bringing that investment assumption down to 6%. And when they do, even CalPERS' phony number is going to be revised upward sharply, and I'm going to go into that in a little bit more detail. As you know, I hate to do accounting, but if on the radio, but if we don't talk about these numbers, nobody's going to get it. Now, before we go back to pounding on the city of Pasadena and the city fathers and mothers, let's take a call from Carlos in Carson. Fire away, Carlos. What's on your mind?
Well, listen, I was checking out I got curious about all these thousands of kids that were being brought in from Central America in the last few years. And I got curious as to their whereabouts and where they were being housed and everything. And I'm finding out that the coordination and transfer of these kids from Central America, which is thousands of kids, was being coordinated by a group called Sin Fronteras, which means without borders. And this group is being funded by George Soros, the progressive George Soros. You know who he is, right?
The evil George Soros. Oh, yeah, right. We know him.
So there's some very big, powerful people behind this phenomena of transferring all these kids here. But once they get here, they're being housed in detention centers, and there's some big corporations making lots of money.
That's correct.
Detention. You got Core Civic, I believe, and GEO Group, and they're expanding.
And there are churches who in nonprofit organizations who are receiving money from the government, and this includes all churches, including the Catholic Church. Who are receiving money from the government to resettle these children into foster homes and other places. These children were sent here. They were separated by their parents in a foreign land and launched into our country here without parents to start with. That's the really scandalous separation. And how many times, Carlos, do you read in the newspaper or radio or TV where a mother or father leaves a kid unattended in the car to pop in the grocery store? Some cop comes by or some busybody sees the kids in there, and the parent gets busted, scolded, charged, or whatever. There's some authentic examples of neglect, no doubt. But by golly, if you do that, it's a criminal matter immediately. But we never talk about that, do we, Carlos?
Well, all these kids are coming unescorted.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
The whereabouts of these kids, many of these kids are missing, and that's what I'm concerned with. They don't know where they wind up at, and I'm afraid, there's a big organ industry, sale of organs industry out there.
Yeah, well, I don't know that these
pedophile rings out there.
Well,
and there's also satanic groups that use kids for satanic ritual purposes.
Well, yeah, I probably wouldn't want to go into those areas, but certainly it is a potential risk when we have these populations that are deliberately created without records, without documentation, without follow-up. We don't know exactly who they are. Well, you and I don't. We don't have public records. We don't know exactly where they went, but somebody does, because each and every one of these kids represents cash flow. Now, I want to go back to use this example, Carlos, to illustrate our larger point here, and that is that our adversaries, the people who are tearing down our economy, seizing our liberties, taxing us to death, these people are doing it to benefit their business. And their business depends upon the cash flow that these young children represent. Because they may be they certainly are children to you and to me, but even more so, they represent cash flow, an income-producing asset for the state apparatus. So the public schools love it, and all the bureaucrats, the people that run the Medi-Cal system, they love it. Obamacare, they love it. The people who run these resettlement operations and the dormitories, the nonprofit organizations, everybody is profiting. And that is an even more fundamentally evil form of child trafficking. It's done right out in the open. And then they have the nerve to accuse Trump and the United States, you and me, of being guilty of separating families, when most often it was done by parents themselves. And I want to know where the international warrants that are being issued for child abandonment, right?
Exactly.
Well, what would happen to you and to me?
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But, the states are benefiting because they get federal funds for all these
right.
kids.
Got 1 minute, Carlos.
So that's my point. If Trump is really serious about combating illegal immigration, he's got to start curtailing these operations and investigating these Sin Fronteras group, investigating George Soros, all these detention centers. There was a congressman who tried to go into one of these detention centers.
They were turned back.
He was denied entrance.
That's right. Privacy, don't you know?
Right.
Absolutely
I don't
outrageous.
remember who the congressman was, but he was denied entrance. Why?
That's right.
See?
Because they don't want the truth to be known. That's how they operate. Carlos, I want to thank you for calling in. Be sure to do it again. We're coming up on the end of the hour. We will be back after the break at the top of the hour for another half hour, and we will continue our discussion of these current issues. Be sure to call in and join us. You know the number, 866-870-5752. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles, back with you in a few minutes.
In Southern California, this is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
All right, back with you here. Glad you could join us. Hope you enjoyed the last hour. We're in the final half hour of our show on Sunday nights here. Radio Free Los Angeles, coming to you from Glendale, California. We have on line two, we have line one. Greg, we'll be back with you. Right now on line two, we have Mark Moyser, who is a candidate for Secretary of State here in California. He is the only conservative on the statewide ballot, and Mark has been checking in with us every week for the last several weeks as he makes his way throughout California on his bicycle. to all kinds of different places, and it's been very fascinating to hear what people have to say outside of the large urban areas. Mark, are you there?
I'm here. Good to be with you again.
Where is here tonight?
Tonight I am in Mariposa. So since we talked last week I was in Imperial County. I went to the Palm Desert, then up to Big Bear, shot over to Apple Valley, Lancaster, Tehachapi, Bakersfield, Porterville, Visalia, Fresno, Merced.
Yeah.
Just kept on going.
Hey, that's heartland of California, the Great Central Valley. My wife's family all come from there. Been in farming for 100 years up there in Porterville. Good country, good people. What have you been hearing? What have people been telling you, Mark?
Well, there is a story that I've been waiting all week to tell you.
Great.
I knew you'd just get a kick out of this one.
Okay.
We were on the phone last week at 9 o'clock on Sunday, and shortly after we got off the phone, I got on the bike and I started riding up from Imperial County. And about 50 miles north of the border on Highway 111, there is a border station where they, a check station.
Sure.
And as I rolled in at 1:30 Monday morning into this border station, the sign said stop, and I'm a typical cyclist. I don't like to stop. I like to roll through stop signs, but there's no way I'm going to roll through a border guard stop sign. So I'm going real slow, hoping they'll wave me on through. And he says, "Where are you going?" I said, La Quita. And he said, "Do you need any water?" And I said, "I'm actually good. My RV will be here in just a minute."
Yeah.
And the other border guard had just pulled in his car, and he said, "So are you Mr. Mauser?"
Oh, Mauser. I like the gun. The weapon.
And I said, yes, I am. So evidently he had passed my RV, and saw the my name and big head all over it. And so at this point in time, I knew I wasn't getting anywhere. So I unclipped from my bike pedals, got down and started telling them about that I was running for Secretary of State, going to all 58 counties, and had a great conversation with these border guards at 1:30 a.m. on Monday morning. I left, and when the RV showed up about 5 minutes later, the first question they asked my guys was, "Do you have any brochures for that guy?"
All right. It's fun when it works. So whether it was these guys or other people, you got up in the Central Valley, was the story from the farmers up there similar to the complaints and stories from the farmers down in Imperial County?
Yes. I mean, it's all about water. It's all about water and what, the frustration of what Sacramento's doing to their water and how they can't make, they have the property, they have water rights, but Sacramento takes their water rights away and just, makes it next to impossible for them to do their job.
Truly outrageous. Now, of course, the Secretary of State has almost nothing to do with water. You have a good voice, but you have everything to do with the vote. And
that is correct.
And you are will be the chief elections officer in the state of California, the chief election law enforcement officer, I would imagine, through, of course, the Attorney General's office. What kind of feedback are you getting on election issues? Is there a real awareness of how corrupted our voter process is here in this state? And by the way, not by the Russians?
Yeah, well, here's the deal. As I've been going around, I've pretty much been leading my presentations off with what is the problem. California has the second worst elections in the nation, according to a liberal think tank, the Pew Research Center. And the United States, of the 28 Western democracies, I know the United States is not a democracy, we're a republic, but of what, Harvard University has measured as the 28 Western leading countries, United States, when it comes to election integrity, is ranked last. Mm-hmm. So as I get out there and I talk to the people, they're shocked. They're just shocked at how bad California elections have been allowed to get, how bad elections in the United States have been allowed to get. And it really is an eye-opening when they hear that L.A. County has 144% voter registration, that there are more people on the voter rolls than are eligible to vote, or that 20% of jury service summons get returned back because it's undeliverable as addressed, or they no longer live here, or they're not a citizen. And you start putting that to our voter rolls because that's where that data is coming from. People start realizing that the Secretary of State doesn't care about fair and honest elections, and they do. And so they're very interested in hearing my message and the simple things that I can do to just fix this massive problem that's going on.
Yes. And by the way, in a couple of minutes here, if you could explain very briefly your primary proposal, would it be to clear the voter rolls and start over from scratch?
I wish we could do that, but the actual solution really is communication between government agencies. Jury service summons. They get all this data from the register of voters, but they don't have to return data back.
Right.
And, they're sending out all these notices, and, the thing is, just communication between the jury service and the register of voters is going to go a long ways to cleaning up our voter rolls.
Yeah, I think that's level. I think that's level one at an absolute minimum, and I think after that you need to take the voter rolls and split it maybe into 4 or 5 parts, and then have everybody re-register to start with, and then probably re-register every 5 years to keep it clean.
Federal law does not allow us to do that anymore. That used to be the procedure that happened.
Yeah.
The federal law has prohibited states from cleaning voter rolls and mandating a re-registration.
I recall that. You're right. But that won't keep us from doing what we can do. Mark, we are enjoying your reports from the field. If people want to support you, Mark, where should they go?
MarkMeuser.com, MarkMeuser.com, MarkMeuser.com.
Hey, Jonathan, is this guy getting more energy or less?
I think more. It's amazing. I don't know how you're dealing with the heat out there, Mark.
I know. He's pumping
out there. One pedal stroke at a time.
and actually, I heard that someone tried to steal your bikes.
Yeah, I woke up this morning at about 7:05 a.m. and I heard the plastic of the we have a trailer hitch, and I'm sleeping in the back of the RV, and I heard the plastic wheel lock coming off.
Uh-oh.
And I went, that doesn't sound right. And so I got up, and we looked at and by the time I got out, they were long gone. And we looked at the video surveillance, and the cops basically recognized them as a couple of the local lowlifes, and they knew exactly where to find them.
Oh,
I haven't followed up to see if they actually caught them or what they're doing with them. But I mean, the cops were very friendly, but at the same time, it's like, well, they cut through a couple bike cables. That's $30. They got possession of larceny tools. They got attempted larceny of something over $1,000. But at the end of the day, they weren't too optimistic that the DA would do anything about it.
If you hear the music, we're up on the break. Mark, thanks very much. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, back with you. And we'll take Greg from Encino when we get back. All right, back with you here. Mike Alexander, Radio Free Los Angeles. Be sure to join us here, joining the conversation. We've had a lot of great callers here tonight. Greg, you're in good company. Greg from Encino would like to talk about some things. What's on your mind tonight, Gregory?
Hi, let's start with this. First, Mark Meuser is a rock star. There's not a candidate that has been more present than him. If there's an event anywhere in California, he gets in his car and he drives there. There's going to be 2 people there. He's there.
Hey, does he have a wife?
I don't know what he has. He must, maybe he's cloned.
Maybe he used to have one.
I have no idea. But whatever, you're right. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He just goes and goes.
If I tried that, well, of course, I'm quite a bit older, but if I'd have tried that back in the day, my wife would have given me the kids and put us all on the road. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be skating out like that. But
no, well, his qualifications are incredible. I mean,
yes.
He is a voter. That's his field is voter law.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I'm just driving up the road and I just passed the "Your Tax Dollars at Work" SB1 sign at the intersection of 101 and 10, and that sign probably costs more than any other sign on the road. It's bigger and it's prettier, and I'm sure they spent a heck of a lot of money to put that.
Well, that's right. Nothing but for the best for our civil servants. They, of course, are neither civil nor do they serve. Hey, what's on your mind tonight, Gregory?
I want to talk a little bit about, we had a couple callers who were going through the border, and I actually had the opportunity as a civilian to do some work down in San Ysidro.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing a lighting project back in 2015, and it meant that I would be down in basically the Tijuana River at 3:00 in the morning with the agents on the borders, basically testing the lights to see how they would work to as a deterrent. Now, the amazing thing of the whole proposition was, this is 2015. Remember, everybody is working harder and doing their best to make this all go, but people were demoralized because they knew that the traffickers already had gamed the system. They knew that you put somebody on the border and you tell them exactly what to say, and they got a free pass. So the point is that there's an entire system from all the way down to Central America up. There's a salesman who's down there basically saying, for X number of thousands of dollars, we'll get you to the border.
That's
now,
right.
the actual border itself. Now, this is the crazy part. Okay, the actual border itself, from the San Ysidro, from the border entry, the port of entry, to the ocean. It's about 4.5 miles of fence. Every probably 500 yards belongs to another cartel, and they guard that. In fact, you could see up in the remember the Tijuana 1, the main road in, runs east-west, so it's just the other side of the border. It's running parallel to our border, and there are lots of billboards up there, and you could see the guys sitting in the billboard.
Right.
They're tracking the border patrol, and they're also tracking to see who's trying to get over the fence, because you don't get over the fence without paying. Now, think about that. You're trying to get into the country. You paid $4,000. There's 10,000 people doing that. That's a pretty good business.
That's right.
And now that you know how to work the system, it's like whack-a-mole at that point. They know how to make it work.
They've demonstrated. They've demonstrated. And it's an interesting point that you just made, Gregory, and that is they've demonstrated that they control the border, not us.
Exactly.
And they've demonstrated further that it is possible to control the border with or without a fence, as long as you're willing to employ force.
Mm-hmm. Well,
right? That is, enforce your laws. They enforce their laws on the other side, and that is nobody crosses without them getting paid. Nobody crosses without them knowing about it. Nobody crosses that border without their aid and assistance. So they've got the border franchise, and it's running very well, thank you.
Sure, and it's the Tijuana Police Department. They said the young guys come in and they're brand new rookies on the department, and they're there to work across the border, and they do a great job. But at a certain point, there's just a little bit too much pressure. Now, the other thing that happened is very interesting is that there was an influx of a lot of different nationalities coming over. There was one night I was there, and they're like, down at the beach side, we've got 15 Romanians. We've got, gypsies coming in. We've got Bangladeshi. We've got, so how are these people getting to that border, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody knows that it's basically, it's an easy way in. It was the most eye-opening experience, and this is in 2015.
Yes.
And, and that was, and so, nothing's changed. It's only gotten better on their side.
Right.
And there's now the greatest thing that's happened, I think, in the last few weeks is Vice President Mike Pence going down to Central America and saying, look, you can't be shipping these people up. And so I think there's probably a bit of back channel going on now to try to correct that situation. And the more we can get the message that it's not safe, B, like you said, it's breaking the law. I mean, it's child endangerment.
Yes.
B, it's a no-win. Once you get here, we got to send you back, kids. If that message can get down, that's the main thing.
Gregory, now, it was a great call. We've got some other stuff that we have to do. Have you been listening for long, or is this the first time you tuned in?
No, I started tuning in about 6 months ago. And
great!
It's a great way to spend a Sunday night. I really enjoy your show.
Well, we enjoy having you. We enjoy your feedback. Don't be a stranger. We're moving on to a couple of other things. Mostly, do you like our Government Grifter of the Week award?
I love that.
Okay. We got some great ones. We got some great ones for you tonight. Gregory, thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Moving on to other things, we got a little homework to do. As you know, we run a fairly comprehensive media outreach here designed to identify issues and to provide an opportunity for all of you to get involved. And the main reason that we want you to call and contribute is to help us keep getting out the word. But also, we're coming up on a very busy election season, and within a few short weeks, the 2018 elections begin in earnest. So we've been ramping up our communications. Jonathan has mocked up a South Pasadena Gazette. Yes. You know it's coming down there, all of you government grifters in South Pasadena. We got the new Gazette coming out.
Who's our favorite city attorney? Teresa Highsmith.
Yeah, well, she's great. She's going to be coming out with the disincorporation memo.
That's right.
Yeah. That'll be in the Gazette.
That's part of the playbook.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's wonderful. They're a very good law firm. They know how to play the cards. Yeah. We'll also be doing a Gazette. Jonathan's the editor here for Pasadena. We'll be going after them. But also, you launched us into the Twitterverse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yes, we are on Twitter.
All right.
So we just actually, on Friday, we had our first tweet, and you wrote it, right?
Yes, I did.
It was something that you had heard, I believe. Now, I don't know if this was any truth to it.
Oh, yes.
But
I found it amusing.
Well, it was a great tweet. We got retweeted, and you said that there's a rumor that an investor group is trying to set up a sex robot brothel in Washington, D.C.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That is right.
And I guess part of the story was that Congress and K Street lobbyists have expressed opposition to this low-cost alternative.
Yes.
And all along, we thought that robots only threaten manufacturing jobs. Go figure.
Right. we got a lot of good response to that.
Yeah. I think you're going to be good on Twitter. So please follow us on Twitter if you guys are on Twitter out there.
I tell you, it's when I don't know, we'll come up with something clever. And you guys can. Where do they go if they want to join our tweet stream or what? How does this work? I just write some of this stuff.
They follow you on Twitter.
Follow you on Twitter. Okay, so what do they follow?
Yeah, our handle on Twitter is LA Radio Free.
There you go.
That's our name.
LA Radio Free. So now I'm a Twitter critter.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll start twitting and tweeting and everything else. It's a lot of fun. And we have to get this word out there, and we can never pass up an opportunity to to beat up on them. And I guess if you're Washington D.C., when Congress is in session, you need to hide your rubber ladies, or your robots there.
I think it's that time of week, Mike.
It is. Yeah. It's time. Hey, are you waking there, Kevin? All right. Yeah, tune it up. Music, maestro, please.
And now, live from Glendale, California, it's this week's Government Grifter Awards. And we've got some great nominees this week, Mike. They come from the city to the south, San Diego. Beautiful San Diego.
Yes.
Well, our first nominee from the city of San Diego, and these are 2017 total pay and benefits, and we get this information from transparentcalifornia.com. And the first nominee is the Equal Employment Investigations Manager.
Uh-oh.
with a total pay and benefits of $148,000 a year.
Whoa. Well, that's about as unequal as you can get. All right, good. But not as unequal as some others.
Yeah, so our next nominee is the city librarian.
Oh, always.
Librarians always have a soft spot in your heart, don't they, Mike?
Oh, they do. Yeah. They do. Yeah.
Total pay and benefits for the city librarian in 2017, $167,000 a year.
Unbelievable.
That's a well-paid librarian.
Yeah, that is amazing. Plus pension, everybody. Yeah. Plus pension for a lifetime. And this gal has got, I don't know how many. Oh, it's too many to mention.
How do you know it's a gal?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. It could be some guy.
Politically incorrect.
Well, it could be a he, a she, or a he-she. Whatever. I don't know. Whatever floats their boat.
Okay, so our third nominee from the city of San Diego is the lifeguard sergeant.
Uh-oh.
That's a very confusing title.
It is.
But this lifeguard is well paid. Total pay and benefits in 2017, $224,000 a year.
Holy mackerel.
For the lifeguard sergeant.
Yeah. And it just keeps going
Do you have any nominees?
Well, there were a couple. We talked about early on here about we got the mayor down there. Now, this mayor, I forget, Sanders is, I think, I don't know. No, it's he's out now. Well, whoever the mayor is, 120,000. But now they got these things called mayor representatives, and there's about 10 of them out here. So and each, well, they almost half of them make more than the mayor, and the rest of them all make $90,000 or more for representing the mayor. So I guess they're just some political hack. They got about 10 of them run, and so the mayor costs us $120,000, but the rest of them cost $1 million. Well, all right. Do we have a winner? It's your choice.
We do have a winner.
Drum roll.
And the winner of this week's Government Grifter Awards is San Diego's Lifeguard Sergeant. Congratulations, Lifeguard Sergeant. This is Lifeguard Sergeant's first nominee and first Government Grifter Award.
There you are. Well, I tell you what, if you're listening to us down there in San Diego, be sure to call in because we want to know what you do for that kind of money. This is Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson. We've enjoyed the show with all of you out there. Please join us next week, same time, 8 o'clock p.m. to 9:30 p.m. right here in KRLA 870 The Answer. Next week.